Let me start off with BI, just a quick intro. We are a team within Bloomberg, a team of about 400 people, analysts who cover companies. We talk to pretty much all of the publicly traded companies. And what we try to do is fundamental analysis of the companies. We do financial models and also, get a pulse of the trends and where the future is going in terms of the various sectors. So I lead the technology sector at BI. And what I wanted to do today was really go over Metaverse in a way where you can see how far along we have come in terms of the technology and where we are going with regards to some of the most prominent use cases that are emerging. Now, I agree with some of the things that were raised in terms of what is practical, what can be automated, but it's important to kind of take a stock of where we are in terms of technology first. So just to unpack Metaverse, which is a very abstract term if you think about it, and people, in my mind, kind of use it very loosely, in terms of what Metaverse means. But Metaverse is just an evolution of internet, and what internet has done in the past 30 years is made it easy for people to kind of order stuff, e-commerce, automate processes, talk to each other. And so when you think about the foundational elements of Metaverse, think of the apps and the website experience. Right now, you have a certain way of doing things, right? You open an app, you do it. But then when you think about it from a gamer's perspective, there is that 3D element where you can simulate a screen. And that is where the next phase of the internet or the app-based world or the web economy will have a lot of 3D inbuilt. And I put some numbers because we like to deal with projections, and we like to forecast the future. So engineering software right now is growing at about 7%. But when you think about 3D modeling software, and look, this is not new. That's why I said it's an evolution. AutoCAD, AutoCAM, these are softwares that were used in the past for a lot of engineering processes. But what we are doing now with Metaverse is basically using them everywhere with our app-based experience, with our video conferencing software. And that's why it's important to think about that 3D aspect when you're thinking about Metaverse. Then what is the gateway to Metaverse? Because 3D can be seen from the naked eye, right? If you have to think about 3D, and I was thinking about bringing my VR headset for this presentation, but essentially if you have to interact with 3D, and either you have to wear your AR glasses, or you have to have an AR screen where you can touch and play around with it, or a VR headset where you are sort of in a different virtual world. And the technology is there. If any of you have used Oculus, you can see that you can just migrate to this virtual world, which is completely different from where you are right now. And it can be very stimulating in the sense that you can accomplish a lot of tasks because you feel you are physically present over there. So some data to show where the VR and AR applications are most prominent. Gaming is the biggest use case for Metaverse right now, and that will remain the case. But then when you think about all the social experiences, especially video conferencing, look, I think people are already tired of Zoom time and just staring at each other. And I'm of the view that avatars isn't the answer either. So if I have my avatar in a conference room with my colleagues, people will get bored of that as well. So, but at the same time, a 3D environment for a board meeting or some other meeting that you're having can be a lot more engaging and immersive. And that is where the potential, the technology, the 3D software I mentioned, the VR, AR headset, the form factor will improve. Right now, it's still a bulky headset that everyone has to wear. So that form factor will evolve. I mean, look at where we are with the smartphones, right? It's a lot more slicker. It has a lot more processing power. Same thing will happen with VR and AR. So, and that's why I have this slide, just to give a sense of how many devices are there. When you think about smartphones and gaming consoles and PCs, it just gives you a sense of the total number of devices sold in a year, and we're talking about billions of devices. So a metaverse experience will go across all the form factors, whether you are using your mobile phone or you're using your PC. It has to tie all in. It's not as if if you're using your PC, it will be a different metaverse. The devices have to talk to each other, and that is what an immersive experience means. And the last thing that's very important from a foundational perspective is connectivity. So 5G is almost table stakes. If you have to create a metaverse application, if you have to do a virtual concert, which is one of the use cases of metaverse, that not everyone can attend that concert in person, but if you can attend it using your VR or AR headset, it will be immersive, and that will be a big use case, the live events and ability for people to attend it at a much bigger scale than they are able to do it now. So I do think that will be a big use case beyond gaming, the live concerts, and what's really needed is the connectivity, the 5G, and we have all that. It's not as if we are talking about a futuristic scenario here. So that's really from a foundational perspective. Now, let me kind of get into some of the use cases, and since the theme is automation for today, I'll try to highlight some of the things that I do think will be more efficient as a result of all the things I mentioned around the metaverse. So gaming, again, I think I can't stress enough how big the gaming market could become as a result of the metaverse. I mean, gaming was about a $200 billion market, but when you think about all the experiences that gaming can create in terms of just from an education perspective, like think of the classroom environment. If you have a metaverse sort of environment where you can really sit down and do things from a practical perspective, that will be a lot more engaging. So education may turn out to be a big use case. And look, I think survey after survey shows that gaming adoption will continue to grow, and people will spend more time. Yes, there is some focus around from the regulators, what sort of negative impact it can have on the development of the younger folks. But at the end of the day, it's definitely something that's more immersive, and it can be controlled. Like you can create controls around how the positive use cases are highlighted more and more. So in fact, I recently hosted the CEO of Unity Software on my podcast, TMT Tech Disruptors. And his point was, look, I mean, there will always be negative points about a technology and how it can be misused. But at the end of the day, it just makes for a much better experience. And you ask any of the gamers who were gaming in a console-based world, and now they're using this metaverse, VR, AR sort of experience, they can attest to it, that it is a much better experience. So gaming will morph into a lot new type of use cases, and that is where I do think, from a business model perspective as well, you are going to see a lot more revenue generated from companies that are leveraging that gamification of work, as well as the social media. Think of social media, that's why Facebook has changed its name to Meta, because they realize this is the next iteration of social media, the way we consume it in a feed, text-based way. is just not going to be good enough for the future. So they are pivoting to this metaverse look and feel, and it shows up in the numbers. So this is a slide where I do think there are a lot of use cases that you are going to see. So on the retail side, e-commerce will be transformed. I mean, we're talking about virtual malls and, every company having, I mean, there are a couple of them out there, Sandbox and Decentraland metaverses, where you can pretty much enter this mall and shop around as if, you were actually in the mall. And you can order stuff. So e-commerce will be a lot more engaging as a result of metaverse. Real estate. There's this company, Matterport, that has pretty much created 3D designs of all the kind of houses. And think about buying a house, how stressful it is. And from a metaverse use case perspective, this is one area where they can be very disruptive. Think like how much you can do in terms of looking at the house, the interiors, using your VR headset, that immersive nature of buying a real estate and looking at different houses from inside rather than just going once. It will be transformational, I think, on the real estate side. And then travel and hospitality as well. There are a lot of use cases just around travel, because when you're thinking about travel, you want to know what is in there. When you go to that place, what are the different types of attractions? Guess what? You can see it using the metaverse. So I can go on and on in terms of the potential use cases. And there are companies out there that are building these use cases. So clearly, there are investments being made. And it's a matter of time because, as I said, the foundational elements are there. So there will be a big services segment attached to all these use cases, and that will transform the work. NFTs, there's so much talk around, non-fungible tokens and digital art. So you can actually create your virtual assets and sell it in a virtual mall. So digital art can be monetized. It wasn't possible before, but NFT has allowed that. And look, some of these things, the tokens, are going to turn out to be fads. But at the end of the day, that's how companies are thinking about it from a business model perspective. I just have this slide around the evolution of e-commerce because I really think, given the size of the e-commerce market, I mean, we're talking about $4 trillion market here, it just changes everything, and look, smartphones aren't going away. But if you can augment your smartphone with that VR, AR experience and use it to drive e-commerce, which is happening in some cases, but really scale it up, it's a matter of time where people will find this to be more engaging, and they will definitely adopt it. So last use case around factory floor manufacturing. This is huge. I mean, we were discussing robotics and all the factory floor kind of processes. Imagine, instead of getting a database dashboard, you have this real-time experience in terms of the data showing on each of the machines, how it's operating. It's a lot more visual and interactive than looking at a dashboard and getting an alert that this is something that is going wrong in your factory. So the whole point about metaverse is visuals and making it more immersive. And that is what you are going to see more and more. Digital twin, this is another thing that everyone is trying to do that on the industrial side. Is you already have a setup, you have a factory. How do you simulate that, create a digital twin and then figure out what are the things that could go wrong? So creating a digital twin is a lot more easier on the metaverse. So I did want to leave you guys with a slide of who the top metaverse players are. On the AR, VR side, the devices, I mean, we know Oculus is pretty big on the VR side. Applications, Roblox, Microsoft, all your large players that are investing in it. 3D design software, Unity is pretty big. Semiconductors, again, you need the chips. the processing power. So connectivity, and then payments. I mean, there will be that aspect about using NFTs and payments. So, and just to summarize everything we discussed, look, I think the key takeaway here is the foundational technologies are there, as well as AI and cloud can do a lot in terms of just bringing it all together and making it user-friendly and making it interactive, and that is what you're going to see going forward. So I know I'm out of time, but I'll be around if anyone has any questions, and thank you for listening.